Hi guys, welcome to yet another episode of Slow Podcasts, focusing on that which takes time to grow. I'm Kevin, your host, and this is my dear wife,
Esther here.
So we are back after our rebranding, back for yet another episode, talking about this new content that we want to focus on in helping high-performing individuals
Yes, high
to
achievers.
achieve real success.
Yeah.
And what does that look like?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
As we talk, I think we are also learning along the way. The people we meet, the people we coach, I learn a lot from them. And one of those things that people always struggle to answer is clarity. Right? I need clarity.
my pet peeve.
I can't do this without clarity. I can't marry this person without clarity. I don't know what to do. I'm just not clear. I just need some answer. So they get into coaching or they seek advice. They talk to people, just wanting to find clarity for themselves. Right? Do you find that with the people that you coach? They're always asking you questions.
No, I don't like to answer the clarity question.
Why not?
Because I don't like this concept and idea, which I think it's oversell. This clarity
not.
thing. It is. And nobody is against clarity, right? But I think the definition of clarity is taken way overboard. A lot of the people that constantly asking questions about clarity, they're actually asking about certainty. Certainty is not clarity. Clarity is knowing what to do. But if they think that clarity, the way they project it, like it's almost certainty. Like for example, should I marry this girl? Should I take this job? When they say, but I have no clarity, maybe they are not asking a clarity question. They are asking a certainty question.
Okay,
it's
that's true.
Like, will it work or not? Basically, that's what they're saying. But it is wrapped in this oversell concept of clarity. I mean, you are almost not popular if you don't use the word clarity in any of your presentation or in your content these days. I never use the word clarity because I somewhat
But clarity
hate
is
it.
important when it's
So, okay, let's define clarity. Clarity, what do you think it's?
to me, clarity is knowing what you value, what matters, your priorities,
Yep.
having goals,
It's
short term, long term. So that's clarity.
Yes, but it's also clarity is the courage to actually say what you want.
I was just going to say, I think when people say they struggle with clarity, basically they're just overwhelmed with fear. That they cannot move forward because the fear of overthinking, what if?
Yeah, okay.
What
So
not?
overthinking, it's not the opposite of no clarity, because overthinking is actually a fear of uncertainty. People want to be confident in grasping a certain amount of future. I, for one, in the last episode, we talk about pursuing things and all, and finding that inner peace. I know there are a lot of theories. I don't want to say my theory and think that my theory is correct and shut everybody down. But there's an element of just doing something. Can we sometimes just don't think about the results first? Because
It is hard.
You're learning, all right? You're learning. Say, and say for example, you're learning a new skill, right? You embark on a new skill. You haven't even got 10% of this new subject that you're learning. And after a while, you start saying things like, "Oh, I don't enjoy this. I don't know what's happening here. I don't know." But really, to be honest with ourselves, can we ask ourselves a very sincere question? When you're only 10% into something, do you really have a right to ask, "Oh, I don't know what this is. I don't enjoy what I'm doing. I don't know what this. I don't even know whether this is good or not." You really have no right to ask all those questions until
Yep.
you master it. For example, learning pickleball.
I'm so good at it.
You cannot do your forehand drive. You cannot do your backhand drive. And then you say, this is a lousy sport. It is a sport meant for old people. It's a sport. We start making comments like that. But you haven't mastered it. You haven't mastered like drop shots. You don't know how to think. You don't know how to, just backhand return or backhand, kill. How do you enjoy a sport that you haven't mastered? How do you enjoy a work you haven't mastered? You are just like 10%, 20% into the role, into the job, and say, oh, this is not meant for me. And then we jump to another one, and then we start all over again. So my question is, clarity is the courage to face that thing, do that thing, until you are somewhat at a level that you are, pretty good at it. Then
you get to a certain level of certainty.
Yeah, a certainty that I can. Now, certainty doesn't mean you win every competition, but at least I know if I put my bracket this way, I swing my hand this way, my forehand, the ball will go over the net and get a kill. That's not just clarity. That's just knowing how to play the game well. So I think I think it's tough. I don't envy the world that we're in right now as compared to the world we were in, because the world we're in right now is so complicated with so many gurus.
Yep.
So many, profound, self-proclaimed prophet of this and that. And then we consume.
And because in social media, people consume social media, the common words they hear would be losing themselves, seeking clarity, assurance.
There's no direction.
Like, no direction, I'm lost.
But
they start to think about it.
Yeah.
But it just drives that fear inside of them even more, and it paralyzes them to even take the next step.
Who is ever assured of the future? Nobody. If we are honest with ourselves.
Probably the pandemic changed everything. It scared a lot of people
of
about
course.
future.
Okay, then I think it's fair to say we are afraid. But the solution is not to be certain of the future. It's okay. I'm okay if we both say we are afraid.
Yeah, we would never get to a level of certainty in life in most of the things that we do, isn't it?
In all of in all of the things that we do, we can
how
only
certain, right? You're meant to
increase
do this.
the higher possibility of making something happen if we work hard at it. Like, if I aspire to be a great public speaker, I aspire by learning the skill, how to start a conversation, how to start my talk, how to engage my audience, how to read my room, and how to communicate to different people at different level with one content. I have to learn that to increase the chances of me be able to do well. But in no way I'm certain that the outcome is exactly what I want. I think if we misunderstood clarity instead of doing what we're supposed to do, but in control of a result, I am afraid a lot of us will be very, very miserable.
Yeah, we end up not doing anything.
We are paralyzed by that fear.
When I was
I love this subject, man.
When I was new to social media,
it.
I have so many stories as you were talking about it. When I was new to social media, I was not an expert speaker on videos. I couldn't even edit videos. I was so shy, and I have to talk to a camera. And in those moments, if I reflect back, if I needed clarity or certainty that my videos will give me the likes, will get me the results, I don't think I'll ever do anything. So I just kept practicing, just kept going at it. I really didn't know what I was doing most of the time. I just knew what I want to talk about. How am I gonna talk about it? What result am I gonna get? I have no clue. And as I did more and more of it after 3-4 years, I start getting the results, the certainty that I want. But is it up to my level? Maybe not, right? So doing something, a lot of times I find I get more clarity when I persevere,
Yep.
doing the same thing again and again and again and improving myself.
So in that case, right, then clarity should be the ability to persevere.
Yep, I would think so.
That would
That's
be
for me,
clarity. Yeah.
and willing to fail, because you know who you are when you fail, whether you are a loser pot or
Yep.
you just cry over it, pick yourself up and keep going,
Yep.
right? And these are the people that would drive success. I still remember our first son's swimming coach, right? Why we signed up for that particular swim school was because the coach would tell our boy, once you've done crying, sulking, get back into the pool and swim.
Yep.
And I think that is the drill of perseverance, of getting clarity, because a lot of people get so stuck with, like you said, needing that certainty. Recently, because I'm new to this high performance coaching, so I was trying to close a person to sign on with me, right? It was a trial period. I was trying to just gain experience. I had no clarity again. I just wanted to start doing it. So this particular person came on. They had so many questions, right? Emails after emails of questions. I thought they just wanted clarity, but now I reflect back, it's like what you said. They just wanted certainty that if they invest in this, it's going to guarantee a certain result of success or happiness or whatever. So we went for trial sessions. After they had questions again. In the end, of course, you guessed it, they did not sign up.
No.
And in the beginning, I felt so bad about myself. I had a lousy day after that. I thought, oh my gosh, I suck. I'm a bad coach. I can't do this. And I'm not what people need. But as I reflect on it, it's because I wasn't at a place to give them certainty. Nobody knows the future, right?
No.
But I was willing to journey through the process with them to get clarity on what it is they need in their life. But they were unwilling to take that step because they just needed to be guaranteed the results.
Yeah.
Right. So it's really a learning process for us to be aware of ourselves. Firstly, how are we showing up, and how are we when it comes to uncertainty and moving forward?
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's also important, right, to sustain that inner peace on the inside of us. If you miss out this entire inner peace subject, it was in our first episode. This whole understanding, this subject on inner peace and the process of it is to, the clarity that you need is, number one, we want you to have a lot of joy doing this.
Yep.
Joy is energy. It's a strength.
Yes.
Number one. Number two, I also want you to know that in this process, there will be pain.
Yep.
That's clarity. In this process, there will be struggles. There will be times that you question your existence on this planet Earth. There will be time in this process of clarity. They will require a time of perseverance, a time of working behind the scene where nobody's clapping, nobody's cheering. And this is the clarity that I will assure you will be part of the journey. The earlier you accept that reality, the faster you get to your goal, right? But after I do this, will I get to where I go? My most certain answer is you will be more assured that you'll get there than you're not. But whether you really get to the exact place, I cannot guarantee that, because that's not what clarity it's all about.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes when we talk about clarity, we almost just want like a quick fix. If I pay you this money, if you coach me, then I will get to where I want to be. To make peace with your pain, but that's a skill.
And that creates momentum.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? Because if you want to move forward in life with momentum, having that clarity, knowing the pain you're going to go through, the people that is going to betray you, the problems that are going to come.
I think, right, these days we have this thing called a low barrier to entry.
Yes. We lower all barriers so that it's easy for everybody to get
enter.
on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which I think is great because we want to include as many people as possible. But we cannot then don't communicate the expectation required if you want to be the cream of the crop. It's okay, lower barrier of entry. But if you want to excel, you want to shine, you want to be high performing, this is the price that you have to pay. But in our slow podcast, we also want you to know that high performance is not just about the wealth that you will get. It's the greatness comes in your family actually cheering you on rather than you dying alone. That is different. And I don't want to come to a place where, I've got a big house, I got the nicest car, I got the best holiday, I eat the most exquisite food, but I eat alone. Or I have to pay for my friends to come and eat with me because otherwise nobody will turn up. I think that's painful. So if I'm really happy to talk about this clarity thing because I've been frustrated for so long.
When I first got coached by a digital marketer, our friend, sitting through his classes, he most of the time, okay, half the 90-minute coaching session, he's dealing with objections.
Yeah.
People would have some of these thoughts in their head, why I can't do it, right? They already created this belief that, yes, I can't do it. I have no time. I have no money, or I'm a nobody. I don't have this talent. I am useless. So the whole time is just dealing with objection.
Yeah.
And compared to people who are action takers, they show up very different. They're not afraid that they don't know anything. They will just hit a wall and just figure it out again. Just kept going at it. And he always said this line, the future belongs to the action takers. Right? Basically, when you just take action, the clarity comes as you go about doing it. So when I first had I had to do my first webinar, right? So you need to write a sales page, and then you get coached through it, how you do it. It took me one full day. I just sat down and just write it all up. I didn't think it was great, but I just tried it anyway. And when I submitted my work, the team reflected back on me and said, you know what, Esther, nobody does it in one day. Right? Most never end up doing it. They just buy classes, buy courses, buy digital products.
Yeah, I remember that.
Maybe buy coaching but never show up. But really, when you take action, you will learn so much more. And I really appreciate those moments where I think courage was really the important ingredient that I needed more than clarity. I'm a person who needs clarity too, you know that. Of course, I want certainty. I love math. In math, there's always a final answer. There's certainty. Is it right or wrong? There's no in between, right? I was trained in that. So learning to live my adult life, not having certainty, was a scary thing for me. But to overcome it, I really had to tap onto courage to just do it.
But you know, right, I'm most comfortable with uncertainty.
I know, because
I celebrate.
Structure, clarity kills you. When you know something's going to happen in this manner, you're not going to do it.
Because then they don't need me.
You can take it to the next level.
I don't know.
Challenge.
Yeah. Maybe I could, but I'm not afraid of uncertainty. But actually, recently, somebody had a conversation and I heard this, and it really struck me when the person said to another person, "Are you a coward?" We went for a conference.
Yeah.
It was actually Erwin that asked Carlos, "Are you a coward?" And when I hear that, I think I'm done. I have more than I wanted to get from the conference. And I think we all have to be brave to actually be brave to ask ourselves, are you a coward? Wow, I never heard that being said like that.
That's the best way.
Yeah, like when you're an action taker, what guarantee you have that it will work? You know, I suddenly, when we're talking about this, I remember writing my first book. It was great fun. It was a horrible experience at some point. I used to only write in pages, and I gave it out to people to read in pages, right? So we have to then cut them up into pages and distribute to people, but they're not buying it, so kind of like low pressure,
Low entry. Free stuff.
Yes, ma'am, free stuff. So who's going to complain, right? I'm the one copying and cutting them up, and to a point that the readership
Readership.
increased.
Followership.
Well, those days we have no followership. It increased. The person that was cutting the thing said, "Sir, I'm done. I ain't gonna do it anymore. You go and print a book." Now that notion of printing a book when you were nobody knows you, and your readership is like 40 people, and you think like you're a superhero overnight. Anyway, I just thought, okay, let's just write and see whether I've got a message. So I started writing, and then I went to the printer. I thought, bare minimal, I print 100 copies.
100 to sell to your friends and
My
family.
readership is 40. 100 is already almost 3 times my readership base. Said, no, you have to at least print 500.
500 to make it
But
worth.
500 is expensive. You got to print 1,000. I want to tell you, I did everything I could. I wrote, edited like just about 300 million times. And I finally sent to print. And they said everything was okay. And then they finally bound it into a book. And I've got boxes and boxes coming, right? The night before the book came to my office, I had nightmare. My book's not sold. And it was used to balance table,
my laptop,
table, chairs. You know, I had this nightmare of my book, at the bottom of some shelves. That was funny. When the book was launched, it was sold. Sold quite well. Then when I went back, it hardly paid for the printing cost. But I guess it was okay lah. This printing of a book, it's not like it cost me a fortune. If nobody buys, I lose a couple of $1,000. Maybe people will buy, right? And then the press got hold of it, the newspaper, and that's when there was a bit of mileage there. But I guess in life, it was all these small little things that I did that built my courage, that I was not as cowardice as I used to be. I'm still a coward, I guess, in some sense. But my range of fear is now far greater. My range of bravery or courage, if you like to say, it's far greater because I don't even have to think to print 5,000 copies now, 10,000 copies. Not because I'm confident that it will sell, but I'm confident that it will not hurt my ego, right? And I think without that first 1,000 copies that today have sold tens of thousands of copies, maybe we have to recognize that clarity and certainty, it's a process of becoming. That's very important. If we just stay there and just discuss, negotiate, navigate in our mind, it's way better. Like what you did a funnel in like one day. You shopped the house. They've been running the business for 20 years and no one ever submitted it in one day. That's how you have no problem creating funnels now.
No problem. I can do it in an hour or 30 minutes. Right? So I guess the spark for some of you out there searching for clarity, certainty, is actually courage. The courage to just take that first small step. Everybody's step is different. Maybe that first step is calling somebody up, right? Or apologizing. Or it could be just challenging yourself with a new task. Or learning a new skill.
Or tell your boss yes.
Yes.
Rather than
no all the
thinking,
time.
And then
Never
after
think
that,
about it.
And then after that, we are quite proud that we are paralyzed by overthinking. In the church world, they'll be going home to pray. So maybe sometimes that's not what we need.
Yep. So as we end this session today,
I just want you to know I have a rage against clarity,
yep.
especially if it's packaged as clarity, because the real deal is certainty. Let's just be comfortable with uncertainty. It is the most uncomfortable place. But once you can make friends with that, I'm very sure high performance is just going to be
A part of your life.
part of your life.
It is
So
a
true.
learnable skill.
Yeah.
It is not that you are dumb, you're not that smart, you're not talented. It's a learnable skill
Yeah.
to high performance living. So the question we want to leave with you is, if you're listening to this, ask yourself this question: am I a coward?
You.
I guess when you can truthfully answer a yes or a no, you get your clarity to the next step.
Yep. I hope you enjoy yourself and you learn a thing or two. Pouring out just gives me a lot of healing. Thank you guys for listening and watching. So do like, do subscribe, tell your friends about it. And if you think that whatever we've been doing is helpful to you, you can DM us, write to us on the link below. There is a strategy call so that we can help you achieve. So yeah, it's going to be
And clarity is one of the things
unstuck.
that we will talk about.
You will get unstuck and start
Yeah.
moving. Take care now. Bye guys.